All right, what's up everybody? Alan Tyler here. It has been a very, very long time. Today we are picking back up, I am picking back up a project that I started back in, I thought it was 2019, it was actually 2018. So this is picking back up in the series of cooking through the 4-Hour Chef by Tim Ferriss. I made it through 8 recipes back then, and then I got the flu, was wiped out for like a month, and I just never got back to it. So I made it through 8 recipes at that point, so I'm gonna be jumping back in technically to lesson 10. It's the 9th recipe. Lesson 9 was supposed to be like a group dinner. But again, given the pandemic and everything going on right now, I'm gonna hold off on the group dinner, come back to and do those later. I think that's gonna be a really fun thing and a really good excuse to get back together with people. So tonight's recipe, out of the 4-Hour Chef by Tim Ferriss. This is lesson 10. Skills are roasting and using an immersion blender. So we're gonna be making roasted garlic and gazpacho. So the very first thing that we need to do, I wanted to get this started, is I actually need to get the oven preheating to roast the garlic. So I need to preheat the oven to 350 degrees, lay out a sheet of aluminum foil on your countertop. So let's get started with that. It's clear, all right. Okay, it looks like the oven's good to go, so we're all set there. I can start doing the rest of the prep for the garlic itself, and then I'll start working on preparing the gazpacho and items with that. So let's get started. Okay, so lay out a sheet of aluminum foil on your countertop. Countertop. Aluminum foil. The next step, we're going to cut off the top third of a head of garlic. Peel off any of the extra little kind of papery stuff that's hanging out there, and then put the head in the middle of the foil, season it with a little bit of extra virgin olive oil and some salt and pepper, and then we're actually gonna wrap it up to make like a little ornament, a little decorative ornament of garlic. I'm gonna use my completely overkill knife that I'm really excited about. I've never had a huge kind of butcher knife style chef's knife, but I don't know what it's called. But I'm really excited to give this a shot. It's totally overkill for this part, but I'm excited about it. Right, so it kind of opens it up into there. We've got the top cut off and ready to season with. So I don't really know what I'm doing at this part. This is part of the experiment, part of the learning. I'm just gonna drizzle some olive oil over there. All right, a little bit of salt as well. Just kind of drizzle sort of pinch over the top. A couple turns of pepper. And I'm guessing that mostly what we're going for with this is actually just getting the salt and the pepper and the olive oil here in the foil with the garlic. So I'm gonna wrap this up and make our little kind of ornament shape. Right, so I don't think it has to be anything particularly special or pretty. It's just contained here in the foil so that it can then go into the oven when the oven's ready to go. So I'm gonna set this aside for right now, let the oven keep warming up, move on to some of the preparation steps for the gazpacho. All right, first I'm just gonna get out all my ingredients for the gazpacho. I'll kind of shout them out as I list them. I'm gonna zoom in for this part over here. All right, can of tomatoes, medium to large, red bell pepper, cucumber, extra virgin olive oil, black pepper, sea salt, balsamic vinegar, and more garlic. Now, this is probably a good side note moment for me to talk about the fact that I don't typically like garlic. It tends to give me both heartburn, and then it just lingers with me for 12 to 18 hours. It just kind of sits in here and in the back of my throat, and I just feel like I continue to taste it and experience it for a long time, which isn't my favorite. So I'm really curious about the roasting the garlic and then the amount that we're putting in for the gazpacho, how that's going to work and feel for me. But I'm still gonna eat it one way or the other, at least test it. But yeah, unfortunately, garlic is not one of my favorite ingredients. I know it's a really magical one, so I got some learning to do. But let's continue on with the recipe. We'll get the gazpacho going. All right, I've got my gazpacho ingredients ready to go. I still need to grab my immersion blender, but before I do that, I can see over here that my oven is actually preheated and ready to go to get that garlic in. So I'm gonna get that into the oven first because it takes 30 to 45 minutes to actually roast that garlic, and I don't wanna be waiting on it at the end. And so for our little garlic package here, I can actually put this just straight into the oven as is. So that's what we're gonna do. And it says to roast it for 30 to 45 minutes, which is kind of a big range. It sounds like the longer you do it, it gets really, really almost like buttery, or like the consistency of butter, so it's a little more spreadable. So I think that's probably the goal that I'm gonna go for. So I'm gonna set it for like 35 and then check on it from there. So if you are not familiar with an immersion blender, this is what one version looks like. This is the Cuisinart Smart Stick. All it is, this is essentially the motor up here, and then down here we've got the little head, and then in here you can see these are the little blades. So when we're hitting the buttons up here, either a high speed or a low speed, it's blending in the blades down here with a little protective guard around it. And a lot of them come with some sort of a mixing cup or mixing container that's just kind of well suited to be getting down into there to get some volume and some depth. So I may not be able to do this whole batch within this little cup, but you can still kind of work in batches. All right, first thing, open the can of tomatoes. Fortunately, this is one of the ones that came with a little pull top lid, so I don't actually even have to get the can opener out. I am the can opener for today. Tomatoes are open. Push my other stuff out of the way. This is my work surface. Cut the bell pepper in half. I'm gonna go ahead and do it like that, and I'm gonna kind of pull it off of the head. Oh, that didn't even work, so never mind. Trying to be fancy, and that's not going well. We've got our cucumber. We're gonna use half a cucumber. All right. Peel the cucumber, remove the seeds with a spoon, and then dice. I don't think I have a peeler, so I'm gonna try to peel some of the skin off with my knife, and we'll call it good with that. Yeah, this is kind of working. That's, I think, one of the biggest things that I've learned with cooking is plenty of the time, you just need to roll with it and sort of figure it out as you go. It may not be perfect, it may not go, it's probably never gonna go exactly the way that you planned, and that's okay. That's okay. A little nibble. I like to snack as I go, taste things, you know? I don't know about you, but cucumbers for me are always kind of I think of summer. It's very summer, fresh summer food. It says to spoon out the seeds. I'm not gonna do that. I wanna keep them in. I don't feel like there's a lot. To me, cucumbers don't have like a ton of seeds. You can see in there, like, so I'm just gonna dice it. And we're all gonna end up blending this up with the immersion blender anyway, so I'm not going for a very fine dice. I'm just gonna kind of get some big chunks here. Not necessarily using even good knife skills at all, but I'm not really worried about that. We're making progress. I'm supposed to have a digital scale as well. I didn't see that earlier in the recipe, so let me go grab that. That's gonna be useful for this next step. I'm pretty sure I have one. Found it. All right, so we're gonna put our blender immersion cup onto the scale and then zero it out, do a tare weight. So we've got 0. So we're gonna dump in the whole can of tomatoes to get started. Hit the tare button, goes right back to 0 ounces. That's fantastic. We're gonna add bell pepper until we've added half the weight of the tomatoes. So this was a 14.5 ounce can of tomatoes, so I need 7-ish ounces of bell pepper. So I've got those here. I'm gonna just slice it into some smaller chunks so I can kind of divvy it up a little bit better. And I think it'll end up blending better that way. So it's at 0. Oh, I might need to cut into the other bell pepper. That's only 2 ounces right there. Yeah, I'm going for the whole bell pepper, it looks like. I got 3.2 ounces, so. Okay, so we got 6 ounces of bell pepper altogether with that, so not quite the full 7, but again, this is cooking, we're getting close. That's close to half the amount. We have a 2-to-1 ratio of tomatoes to bell pepper by weight, so I think that's gonna be fine. Then we're also looking to add 7 ounces of cucumber. Now, I'm gonna jump ahead here and actually put this in a bigger bowl, because as you can see here, my little pitcher blender is just already full. So I'm not even gonna be able to blend in this as is, I think. So I'm gonna grab a bigger bowl and we'll keep working from there. Ta-da! All right, I'm gonna slap that on there. I could have waited on that, but dump that into there. Now I can hit tare. So now I'm going for 7 ounces of cucumber as well. So I've got a couple handfuls here. And again, that was only 2 ounces. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut the rest of my cucumber as well. When things are really not working out that well, I'm a little worried I didn't read something right, but I'm also just gonna keep rolling with it. More, a couple of big chunks. And where does that end up putting us? 5.5 ounces, so again, we're kind of in that similar range, like we're getting close to half the weight of the tomatoes, but not all the way there. That's okay, I'm not really worried about it. It says here, if your chopper attachment is feeling full, go ahead and blend it down already and work in batches. So in this case, I was already full after adding the bell peppers, so I'm just gonna do it in a bigger one. If I need to put it in back into here in smaller batches to blend it up, I'll give that a shot. But I'm hoping that it's gonna work here in the big bowl. We'll see. So I'm gonna grab a 2 tablespoon spoon here, measuring spoon for my oil. I'm going for 5 tablespoons total. I don't like to get super precise, especially when it comes to olive oil. 2 big full ones, and 4 and a little extra, just so we got it in there. I'm gonna need that handy here shortly. A 3-finger pinch of salt, sprinkle that in, and 4 turns of black pepper. So again, this is sort of arbitrary, but it's, you know, it's not just 1, so 1, 2, 3, 4. I really don't feel like that was very much, so I'm gonna add another 2 or 3, just because I don't think they were all sitting in there grinding. And then 1 to 2 tablespoons of vinegar. So I gotta open this vinegar up. I use my same olive oil spoon, no big deal. I said 1 to 2, so we'll go right up close to 2. And then push 2 cloves of garlic through the garlic press right into the mix. I don't actually have a garlic press. Like I said earlier, I'm not a huge garlic fan, so I don't own a garlic press. So I'm just gonna pop out a couple of cloves and sort of chop them up small and hope that that works. Let's dig into this other head of garlic. Right, and knowing that I'm not a huge fan, I'm just gonna use 1 instead of the 2. Maybe if I cut the end off. Oh, it's jumping. Yeah, so that like kind of worked. I feel like that kind of worked, but I've got a couple of these ones down here. That one felt like one whole one, but I'm just gonna use the one big one here. Like I said, I'm just gonna do some chopping here, and then hopefully the rest of it will get nice and chopped up when we're actually working with that immersion blender. And in case you forgot from the earlier episodes of this show and my show, my name is Alan Tyler. I'm cooking my way through the 4-Hour Chef by Tim Ferriss. I am not a professional chef. I have a little bit of experience in a kitchen, but it's mostly something that I enjoy doing and have a lot of fun with, and I'm hoping to continue to learn and grow and explore and share with you. All right, I've got my garlic diced up, hopefully thin enough, so we're gonna toss that in. I'm gonna give my hands a little rinse. Otherwise, I'm gonna rub my eye with garlic, and then I'm really gonna be miserable the rest of the evening. From this point, all we have left to do is actually attach up the immersion blender and then start blending this all together. Here's hoping this doesn't make a huge mess. All right, so we got the immersion blender. Go ahead and plug it in. I fortunately got some power real close by. I'm gonna push it all the way down in there, and there we go. I think that's looking pretty good. The blender worked really well to chop all of that up and kind of blend it up. It's nice and thin. I'm gonna give it a little taste test and see if it feels like it needs a little more salt or vinegar or anything like that. And otherwise, I think we're ready to move on to the next step. Tasting is also a super vital part of cooking and experiencing along the way. It helps you learn, it helps you experience. I really like the flavor. I'm gonna add a little more salt, feels like to me. Maybe a little more pepper as well. I'm gonna do another like 2 pinches, I think. It seems like, yeah, maybe a little bit more. And then pepper, like I said, I felt like the pepper was a little light early on, so add quite a few more turns there. Got a quick little taste here. Looking really pretty. Like, I don't want to tip it too far over. A lot of flavor to it. A lot of kind of like, feels like an exotic level of spiciness, but there's nothing exotic in there. I think the vinegar adds a really nice little touch to it. But I've still got at least 12 minutes on my roasted garlic over in the oven. This is supposed to be served chilled, so I'm gonna just go ahead and throw it in the fridge and come back to it shortly. Gazpacho. All right, so the timer is beeping on the garlic. It's been 35 minutes, so I think I'm gonna give it another 5 or so. It wasn't a huge head of garlic. It's beeping at me in the background there saying the timer's up. So I'm gonna give it another like 5. I don't really know how to check it ahead of time, so we're aiming for that longer time zone, but again, it was a pretty small one. The gazpacho itself, we're just gonna serve in little bowls, and then I actually have a couple of sliced almonds to garnish over the top. I think it sounds like that's a recommended method for displaying, garnishing, and presenting gazpacho at the table. And then the roasted garlic, I would hope to have some slices of bread or crackers or something like that. I don't actually have anything like that, so I might have to resolve to using chips, but I have heard that when you roast garlic this way, it basically just spreads like butter, and you can do it on little, crostini breads or crackers as sort of an appetizer. I'm pretty excited to eat this stuff. The timer's done on the garlic. I'm gonna pull it out and toss it onto a little cutting board, open it up and kind of see what that tastes like, and then we'll actually serve the gazpacho and give that a shot. Can you hear it sizzling and roasting? It's really quiet. Wow, the smell really is fantastic coming out of here. Sorry, here's what it kind of partially unwrapped coming out of the foil. I'm not sure there's a more beautiful way to do it, but that's what we're working with here. I'm gonna let it cool off for a second. I'm gonna serve up some of that gazpacho, and then we'll kind of taste test these side by side. Oh, it's soft. I can feel it, it's soft. I think I can bring the camera in closer for this part, don't you think? Yeah. I don't actually have a ladle, so we're just gonna do it this way. Like that. And then the other thing the recipe recommends is actually, some sliced, or I've got, I think, slivered almonds here. Just a couple of these over the top as a nice little garnish, so let's throw those on there. I think it's time to give it a shot. Let's give a little taste to the gazpacho here. We've got little slivered almonds on the top. It's not super chilled down, but I think it's cooled a little bit in the fridge. There. It just tastes like summer. Like it's just such a fresh, fun appetizer. A lot of complexity of the flavor. There's definitely layers to it, and there's not that much into it. You saw everything that went into there, and there's really not that much to it. So I'm really impressed. This is a fun, super easy recipe, fun crowd pleaser, I imagine, especially just like a little quick appetizer. I'm looking forward to eating more of this. Let me get one more. I made one more. Okay. It's time to do this garlic. I'm gonna get the chips. I'm gonna get some chips. That's gonna help me, I think. This is definitely not perfect, but I got some calidad. Garlic itself, it's literally just like, it just squeezes, like, I just like squeeze it out there. All right, there's like a whole clove. All right. Yeah, so that's just like, I was able to just slice right through that little chunk, and then it looks like it kind of, oh yeah, it does just spread. It's literally just spreading right on there like that. I might regret this later, but let's give it a shot. Wow, that flavor is really good. That's not that like garlic aggressive burn that I feel like I normally get. There might still be a little bit on the back end for me, but oh my goodness. I'm going back for more. This is unheard of. You wanna see it again? All right, so there's, like, it literally just looks like a little pat of butter, and then you see it on here, and it just spreads. It's nice roasted and cooked through, like. Wow, but the flavor is really, really good. It's not burning me out. I don't feel like I'm gonna get heartburn from it. And it was really easy. You saw how easy it was to just like roast a whole head of garlic. You could do a bunch of them at once if you wanted. All right, so overall, I'm really impressed with how all of this turned out. The roasted garlic really gave me a surprise at how delicious and I think unoffensive it was to my typical senses for garlic. The gazpacho, I am a huge fan of. Not something I'd really tried a whole lot of before and will definitely be coming back to. This was super easy to put together and super flavorful, and it looks really pretty in a bowl. Easy to whip up on short notice. This was lesson 10 from the 4-Hour Chef. My name's Alan Tyler, working through the 4-Hour Chef cookbook, one recipe at a time, and very excited to continue to explore and get familiar with this kitchen, with the cookbook, and with these different recipes. I don't yet have a nice cheesy one-line send-off for you, so I'm just going to eat some gazpacho and we'll call it good there. See you next time. You gotta try this. You gotta come over and try this. You gotta try it. We'll see you next time.